Hi everyone. Anybody who's picking this up on record, I've logged in just a little bit earlier to set up. So we'll get started right at 8 o'clock to let people log in. But just thought if you're sat here, you could just like fast forward approximately 10 minutes and we'll get started. So yeah, lots of love. And tonight we're looking at just the power of mindset and a little bit detail on Carol Dweck's theory on it. Just food for thought tonight. And yeah, happy Wednesday. Hi everyone. Good evening if you're watching this in the evening. And yeah, if you're watching it in the day, all good. I'm just gonna double check on the Facebook. I know that it's like a nice night. We're in the summertime, so if you're busy and you're watching it on catch up, no worries. I'm just gonna double check there's no one trying to get on right now. And we'll kind of get going with our lovely chat tonight on mindset in just a few minutes. So yeah, it should all be good. Let's just check the group, see where we are at. Amazing. So it looks like the link is all good. And we're gonna go for it. So if anyone does drop in, I will just pause the session and restart so you can get caught up. But otherwise, anybody watching, hey, it's me again. Or if you're new, my name is Megan, and yeah, just work with Bon on bringing you some of this like lovely content to support your well-being journey and your journey to feeling that sensation of like peace and calm as you kind of work through any of the past kind of stuff. And I call it past stuff because I do believe deeply that everybody has stuff. You know, we all have something maybe like unspoken, unwritten, things that maybe we've never dealt with. And so I think that I just want to start by saying, like, well done, you, for being on this path, being on this journey, and like taking time to work on it. I think that we're like a lifelong project. So, you know, keep at it, keep learning, keep growing, and remember that not everything has to be like your thing as well. Everything that we offer is like this awesome little buffet. And just like if you know, go to, to a buffet, I suppose, literally, you're gonna pick things, you know, that other people wouldn't. So I want you to kind of find things that you like, find things that work for you. And if they don't, no worries. I think it's about you creating your own toolbox of stuff, of things that will work for you, whether it's a breath, whether it's a guided meditation. You'll notice that I come up in module 3. So if you're there already, yeah, go back to that stuff. For me personally, in my own journey as well, it has been like game changing to learn all this stuff about, you know, how to regulate our nervous system. But equally, when I started my journey in well-being, in terms of my studying and my master's, one of the things I found really fixated on was this concept of our mindset. It was a term that I hadn't heard before, kind of new in the like world of positive psychology, I suppose. And actually, for many, they found it groundbreaking. And I'm sure you've heard it more and more now, like your mindset, your mindset, your mindset. But I thought today we would kind of just aim this at like, what is a mindset? And we'll focus a little bit on Bon will laugh because it's Carol Dweck that I will refer to. But when we first met, there is a book, and it is called Mindset, but it's a big read. And her original work is very much rooted in the study of how we learn. And I do think that that's relevant to everything in life, because I think that what she believes about mindset can be and has been ever since, kind of it works across, you know, anybody in any situation. But originally that book is probably something I would take with a pinch of salt. But I think that there's a lot of little gems in it. So if you did want to look at it, it's by Carol Dweck, and she just writes mindset. She's a pioneer in this like style of learning, and this idea of, you know, our thinking and our neuroplasticity. With many, many research elements behind her. But Bon got the book when she met me because I was so in love with what this woman was saying. And she was like, it was just a lot. Lots of like sciencey, technical stuff. Not an easy read. So there's also some really great TED Talks by her as well, if you'd like to have a little look. And again, she does root a little bit in education, but you know, psychologists, scientists, you know, therapists have now been in widely taking her approach, taking her theories into how we can support and develop ourselves into feeling more positive. Now, my little disclaimer is that I think mindset stuff is it's always to be challenged. This is like we're in the baby days of like positive psychology and studying the mind. I think it's really exciting time to be around. You always have this old age conversation about we never talked about this when I was in school, or we never went through this, when I was younger. And it is we're in a new generation, in a new time. And so these theories are there to reflect on, take what you need from, but also to challenge. So, Carol Dweck, basically, what is a mindset? And my opinion of that is that your mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you make sense of the world and yourself. So all of the work you've been doing with Bon on, your inner child and ego and, limiting beliefs, I do think that that is like what roots into mindset. I'm going to read it again, a set of beliefs that shape how you make sense of the world and yourself. And I think that your mindset, it influences how you think, feel, and behave in any given situation. And it means that what you believe about yourself impacts on your success and your failure. And it massively impacts on the way that you tackle challenge, the way that you take on new things. I think it's really, really interesting. And, as we move through this, have you ever noticed those people that like seem to skip through life? Sometimes they go through like some really tough things, but you're thinking like, how in the world, like why are they always so happy? And then you've got other people that, called the Eeyore effect. Like we kind of walk around feeling a bit ho-hum. And I've definitely been both at different occasions. But one big thing that has helped me is thinking like, okay, Megan, it's maybe you're in what we call a fixed mindset. And we'll talk a little bit about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And these concepts are just there for you to create a little bit of self-awareness about when you might be in a fixed mindset. Could you kind of go, okay, this is just a fixed mindset. Maybe I can flip and try something new. So I'll give you some techniques and skills if we're in that like negative place. Mindsets, they can influence how people behave in a wide range of situations. So for example, as people encounter, different challenges, their mind might trigger a specific mindset that directly impacts on their behavior in that particular situation. So my most, I think it's such a simple, even take it as a metaphorical example, but imagine that you're little and your parent, maybe mom or dad, say to you, I'm not good at maths, or I'm not good at math. I can't really do numbers. So one day you're sat trying to do some of your times tables. You're really young, like an early on skill. And that parent turns to you and says, that's okay. You're not good at numbers. Neither was I. So it's just in our family. We're just not good at numbers. Now, what that forms for that young person is a fixed mindset. It's like they now give themselves permission to give up on learning numbers. And I think that there's a lot of people that are like, oh, my mom's not good at numbers either. And now there's some way in which maybe numbers you find difficult, maybe not. But a lot of that, especially when we're younger, and that ability to tackle that level of challenge is often to become fixed. I'm not good at this, therefore that's my endpoint. And that's a fixed mindset. Somebody with a growth mindset, thinking about like, that kind of child, and I'm using the child as an example because you can kind of, just see it as a metaphor. Imagine that young person was told like, hey, you didn't get your 7 times tables yet, but you'll get there. Let's just keep practicing. Let's find a funny way to learn them. There's all these memes going around where they're teaching, children through songs and through pop culture how to remember these things. Let's try a new way. Let's do something that might suit you. You'll get it. You're just not there yet. And so that kind of concept and that kind of conversation could take the exact same child from being fixed to and stopping and just accepting I'm not good at maths to a child that might kind of start to open up a thought process that like, hey, I'm not there yet. I just have to find a new way. And so when I use this as like an example in learning, that would be a challenge. It's the same way that we might create fixed mindset in this feels hard, so therefore I'm going to run away from it, or these conversations feel difficult, or this is not, healthy for me, but actually it is, and we stop. Rather than saying, actually, I'm not there yet, but I will be, or I'm feeling low today, but I can, improve. I can read. I have things that I can do. And there's ways in which I can help move myself forward. I am not stuck in this position. And I just think that's interesting. So when, Dweck describes these two basic mindsets, one is fixed and one is growth. And I think that the definitions come like within the wording. Fixed means you're set. That is exactly what it is, how you feel about it. I'm not moving. That is sometimes it can be also defined as our limiting belief. A term that you've used probably with Bond, or you will encounter throughout this course and program. And the next one is growth. And so the idea of growth just means, yes, there isn't really such thing as failure. There's just this ability to think, okay, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to go to the next step and the next step and then the next step, and I'm going to continue to grow. And it's okay if I'm not there right now. So if you have a fixed mindset, you believe that your abilities are fixed traits and therefore they cannot be changed. You might also believe that your talent and intelligence alone lead to success and effort is not required. So that's those kind of, people think like, well, I'm smart at this. And that's even a fixed idea. It's actually, there is effort required as we move through any process, any sense of challenge, any working through any of this tough stuff, any of our anxieties. It's about trying to ask yourself, like, in this conversation, in this relationship, in this process, in my work, in my ability to go for the things that I dream of, my ability to move forward, am I sat there feeling fixed? Have I already decided that I cannot do it, that I will not move forward, that this is my set spot? And I want you to notice, like, as we move through the examples today, like, it is okay if you are fixed. Like, that's human. It's human for our brain to have that. But it's about saying in moments where maybe, is this holding me back? Can I change the language? Can I ask myself, am I being a little bit fixed here? Can I find some level of language time to flip the script and say, that a big phrase I'll use today is the power of yet. Can you add in, not yet, or it's not there yet, but it will be, because that takes us out of that fixed space. I'll come back to that in a bit. So that's our fixed, and a little bit more, I want to say, succinct detail on growth mindset. A growth mindset is when you believe that your talents and abilities can be developed over time through effort and persistence. So, you can go for that job and you might not be there yet. And if you didn't get that job, it doesn't mean you won't ever get that job. You're saying that I'm going to put in some extra effort. I'm going to keep being persistent. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep trying to put a smile on my face. I'm going to keep doing the work. I'm going to keep talking, keep driving forward. That one, there's that moment that through effort, I can get to where I want to be. And people with this mindset don't necessarily believe that anyone can become Einstein or Mozart, but that everyone can get smarter and everyone can be more talented if they work at it. And that, again, is what you would call a growth mindset. And again, that's there for you to challenge. But there's a lot of research behind that being something that's true. So let's see if any of these like phrases maybe resonate with you. So I'm going to start with the first one, and maybe you reflect, is this anything that ever crosses like your mind? Do you ever think like, oh, I'm either good at it or I'm not? Do you ever think like, I'm not going to go do that because I'm not good at that? I always think of my husband, he loves golf. But if there's something I say, let's go do this, he's like, no, I'm not good at that. And he's just fixed. That's not a bad thing. It's okay. But if it is holding you back from something big in your life, it's about saying, like, can I flip that? Have you ever thought, or kind of something around the lines of, that's just who I am and I can't change it? Carol Dweck suggests that that's a fixed mindset. If you have to work hard, you don't actually have the ability. And that again, fixed mindset. Some people see this, and which can hold us back as well from kind of living that like fulfilled life, working through, any of that tough stuff. It says, if I don't try, then I won't fail. And for many of us who have experienced, past trauma, sometimes we get into this space of our comfort zone, which is not a bad place to be. If you feel safe in your comfort zone, that's great. But if you do feel like suffocated, like you're not moving in a new direction, and that's something that you would like for yourself, most of you probably feeling that based on wanting to go on this journey, and find a space of like recovery and feeling, a sense of peace as you move through, then, I think that trying is the number one element. And that is, what a growth mindset is. The complete opposite is this idea, if I only fail when I stop trying, versus if I don't try, then I will fail. So just thinking about that. And then another line, like, that job position is totally out of my league. And that is a fixed mindset. You just wouldn't go for it. It's out of my league. Shut the book. But that might not be true at all. So it might be a fixed mindset. Growth mindset are these sorts of phrases, are things that we can work on bringing into our neuroplasticity, work into bringing into our mindset, but also see if there's anything, does this one resonate with you? Do you ever think like, I can learn to do anything I want? I can learn it. And I think that that's growth. All right, I don't know it, but I can learn that. I can figure that out. I am consistently evolving. I'm a work in progress. That is growth. I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect. There's no such thing as perfect, but I am moving in that direction, and I'm feeling good because I know that I'm doing that work, and that's something you can all be proud of, doing the work, learning stuff like this, moving through, trying things on the buffet we talked about. But that means that you're, moving in a direction, and for some element of your world, you do have a growth mindset. You're doing some work. This is a really nice one. It says, the more you challenge yourself, the smarter you become. Is that something that feels true to you, or is challenge something that you want to like run for the hills for? And it's fine also if you are fixed, but remembering that this level of a mindset in everything that we do can be something that we can change. And if it does feel like for you, it is holding you back from, being social, learning new things, moving forward, working through, anxious feelings, remember that challenge is growth when it comes from a growth mindset. I'll repeat the one we said earlier. I only fail when I stop trying. Really lovely growth mindset. And, coming back to that last one, that job position looks challenging. Let me apply for it. And, that is the perfect example of a growth mindset. I think of my friend Laura, and I didn't actually realize what she did. She works really high up for the Bank of London, and she is like really high up in finding solutions when there's world crisis in terms of financial world. And it's so interesting because she went out on a whim and applied for a job that she knew nothing about, to get to this point. And she said it was just a job that fit her family better. And then she spent every night figuring out how to, unlock all these systems, work out the IT, figure everything out. And now she's working in like this role that has nothing to do with anything she'd ever trained in, anything she'd ever imagined she would do. But I always really think it's a testament, because I definitely feel fixed in some ways. I definitely would be the type that would go, oh, that job position is really out of my league. But looking at this theory and these contents make me think actually that job might not be out of my league. I've talked myself into believing that, and then maybe unpacking, like, why do I believe, that? Can I undo that? Maybe it's not the job for me yet, or maybe I put my name in the hat and see what happens. And I just think that it's a really interesting way to kind of just see the world, see how you tackle challenge. So yeah, how is your mindset created in the first place? Dweck's research reveals two primary resources. So a lot of it is like something that we learn right from when we're kind of in school, thinking about those adults that were speaking, around you. We kind of have like praising and labeling. They both occur in early childhood. And so the impact of praise, they say that like they found that personal praise or praising a child's talents or labeling them as smart actually promotes a fixed mindset. It sends a message to a child that they either have an ability or they don't, and that there is nothing they can do to change that fact. So we were probably living in a time where we didn't realize the impact, where somebody was like setting up, the group of students that were like, what did they call them when I was a kid in Canada? Like you were like gifted and that sort of thing, like that term gifted, which made the other students feel like, well, I'll never be there and the other, there's no saying that somebody that is uber talented shouldn't have like stretch and challenge, but equally it's about reflecting on the fact that like what message did we take as the other children in the room from that, and how has that maybe impacted on us over time or not. But it says, coming back to like maths, it says if your child gets a good grade on a math test, personal praise might be, see, you are good at math. You got an A on your test. So process praise, on the other hand, might sound more like this. I'm impressed by how hard you studied for your math test. You read the material over several times. Ask your teacher to help you figure out the tricky problems, and, you kept testing yourself on it. That worked really well. So when you say you are good at math, you're labeling somebody as like they're good at math, and that can be fixed. They just stop, is what it is. But if you start thinking about praising that process, or if somebody praised the process for you when you were younger, you might feel a little bit like, hey, I'm on a journey here and I'm doing a really good job, like revising. And that is the area in which we need to be thinking as adults, in terms of like our voice in our little heads. We need to start praising the process. You might not right now be exactly where you want to be, in terms of your journey of healing and this process and tackling this, these challenging emotions and working through trauma, but you are right now on like an amazing track. You've invested not only your time, you've invested your money into something that's going to benefit you later, and you are now working well on your way, doing something for your well-being. It's praising that process rather than thinking like, I'm on this module and I'm still not whatever. You're still working through the modules. You need to kind of go back over it and praise that process. And therefore you'll start, and your brain's going to start, they say that your brain will start to form like neurons and pathways, and you will slowly start to develop a bit more of a default growth mindset over time, the more that you challenge it, versus having this like fixed space. Let's flip the script. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. I talked a little bit about labels. So again, looking at like your childlike self, were there any labels placed on you? Are there any labels that you feel have limited you? Are there labels that you've believed, things that have made you feel fixed? Any sort of even stereotypes that you've had, that you've believed in, that maybe you could reflect on, because labels are quite powerful one, in terms of something that we could reflect and shift. So yeah, it just says your mindset plays a critical role in how you cope with life's challenges. So again, Someone with a growth mindset has a real hunger for learning and a desire to work hard and wants to experience challenge in order to get to the other side and discover new things about themselves and grow and improve. And this often translate in a sense of kind of self-fulfillment or confidence, resilience, all the things that we want to be really in this life. Because one thing that's constant in our life is change. So the one thing we need to kind of work on is our ability to mentally persevere. And this is where I believe growth mindset can help. It says in terms of Dweck, she says, as adults, these same people are more likely to persevere in the face of setbacks. Instead of throwing in the towel, adults with a growth mindset view it as an opportunity to learn and grow. And on the other hand, those with fixed mindsets are more likely to give up in the face of challenging circumstances. And that for me it's just sums up why we need to shift our language, why we need to kind of reflect on what is your default, what is your default mindset? Have you got into a habit? Is there this like neurological pathway that takes you to straight away, no, I can't? Or is there somewhere in you going, do you know what? If I try, I can do it. And it's about the process and there's a way forward, and every little step's making me a little better and a little better and a little better. So yeah, I think it's worth working through all that chat. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is grab a pen and paper. I'm going to grab a sip of my drink. Cheers, everyone. Good old British cup of tea. The Canadian who lives in England loves a cup of tea and a coffee. But I'm going to get you to grab a piece of paper. And what I want you to do, I'm going to give you a statement. And all you need to do is put number one, agree or disagree. That's it. So put an A or a D if you just want to be quick. You don't have to write like a journal or anything, but agree or disagree is all. And we'll kind of see where you may be most likely. Again, it's just habitual. It's nothing you can't change. But the more self-aware we are and the more theory we kind of look at, the more we can redefine maybe why we feel or why we tackle a challenge in a certain way. So what is your mindset? You ready? Again, these come from Carol Dweck, overall, I suppose. Number one, you're born with a certain amount of intelligence, and it isn't something that can be changed. Do you agree or disagree? I'll read it again. You're born with a certain amount of intelligence, and it isn't something that can be changed. Number two, no matter who you are, there isn't much you can do to improve your basic abilities and personality. So you can't improve your basic abilities on things and your personality. It just is what it is. Be honest, agree, or disagree. This one interesting. I'd love if there was someone in the group to chat this one out with me. I think you could definitely be somewhere on the fence with this one. But number three, people are capable of changing who they are. And again, it's challenging some of the theory as well, but people are capable of changing who they are. Do you agree or disagree? It's fine if you want to like write a reflection as well. You might say, I agree with this part of it, but I might disagree with this bit. Just interesting. You put both. Next one, number four, you can learn new things and you can improve your intelligence. Do you agree or disagree? You can learn new things and improve your intelligence. I think. Number five, People either have particular talents or they don't. You can't just acquire talent for things like music, writing, art, or athletics. Interesting. Be honest with what you think, what you feel. You can't get it wrong. It's just, what are you thinking? And last, like studying, kind of like you're doing now, reading, working hard, practicing, trying new skills are all ways to develop new talents and abilities. Do you believe that? Studying, working hard, practicing new skills are all ways to develop new talents. Cool. So let's look back. I want you to look at numbers 1, 2, and 5. If you can find numbers 1, 2, and 5. If you tend to agree with most of these statements, your probably natural default is a little bit more fixed. If you agree with most of the statements in question or statement 3, 4, and 6, however, then you probably tend to have a growth mindset. And if you look back and it is pretty much down the line 50-50, then that means that it's just being aware over time, maybe where are you a little bit more fixed, and where are you possibly a little bit more growth mindset. I definitely think that based on my story and my trauma as well, that there are things socially that I think I'm very fixed on that I definitely could work on the process of. I am definitely not there yet, but in terms of things like possibly work, I might have more of a growth mindset. So there's always these things, but just opening up the dialogue for you to reflect on you is really powerful. And being able to start just finding language and theory to make sense of where you might be at. I've got 4 small little points to just take us through into a place where you can reflect on how to unfix a fixed mindset if you want that. If there's an area where you think I'm really fixed about this, like I can really tell, I call it fixed, but like my husband and my mother would say it's being stubborn. But sometimes it's a mix of both. But I think if you want to unfix a fixed mindset, pardon me, excuse me, I really felt that coming. And these are a few ways in which you can work towards that. One here just says focus on the journey. Focus on the journey. So, an important factor when building a growth mindset is seeing the value in your journey. Right now, you should really reflect and be proud that you are watching this video. You are working through Bun's content. You are accessing, you are soaking up, figuring out what it is that's going to support you in your thinking. Focus on that journey. The end result will come. You won't even realize it when you're focused on every small step, every time you log in, every time you make a little note, every time you try something, in this like self reflection and journey, I suppose, to healing. I think that it's really powerful to celebrate that. When you're fixated on the end result, though, sometimes you just miss out on all the things you could be learning along the way. It's that idea of like, I've been through 3 sessions. Why am I not, you know, skipping around with fairy wings on? You know what I mean? Let's just take a moment and just keep working on the journey. Every little step gets us to a better point and to a that desired state or place or goal that you're after. We talked a little bit about incorporating the power of yet. So if you are struggling with a task, and whatever it is, just remind yourself, okay, I haven't mastered this yet. I think that's really powerful. So it's a learning curve. It teaches you to embrace the challenge rather than run from it. And integrating this word into your vocabulary starts to signal that despite you're in a struggle, that you can truly overcome anything at all. And I love that. I think the not yet, I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna get there. I can't do this yet. Rather than maybe start to like throw that word, those moments when you think, I just can't get through this, I just can't do this. Just be like, yet. Let's not fix the end result. Let's not see or even feel this like fake notion of failure. Carol Dwecks says that there is actually no such thing as failure if we follow some of this theory. Her theory suggests that we cannot fail, that we are not failing, because anytime we're in the process of learning something towards wherever we want to go, our desired state, our goals, that we are being successful, that failure doesn't exist. It's just a space where we continue to learn and grow. So remember that next time you feel like, this feeling of being a failure, that is a label that is not true. If you feel like you have failed, we're starting to see in the world that failure is just some sort of concept to make us feel like we need to, almost like a consumer, we need to like go buy something new to look or feel or be better, but actually there is no such thing as failure. And I love that about Dweck. I love that thought. Imagine a world like, if I said to you, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And if you are somebody who likes to write, I think that that's a beautiful journaling prompt for you today. Even if you put it in bullet points, mind map, what would you do in this moment if you knew you would absolutely could not fail? And I love that thought. Sometimes it helps me feel refreshed. And when I journal about that once in a while, it brings me back into the now. And I have to remind myself that there is actually no such thing as failure. Let's just start a process. You could do anything that you want in this world if we have a mindset to support that. There's so many theorists that write, we are what we think. If you want a little bit more detail in this, it is a lot of psychology and a little bit of heavy reading. But Joe Dispenza is somebody that I like follow, and he's all about, what we think is who we become. And I think that there's a lot for us to just see, like, what is it that I'm thinking that is holding me back? The next one just kind of comes from this. It just says, pay attention to your words and your thoughts and try to replace those negative thoughts with more positive ones to build that growth mindset, coming back. If I find those power phrases, just to recap, I can do anything I want. I'm constantly evolving. The more I challenge myself, the smarter I become. I only fail when I stop trying, and that looks challenging. Let me just have a go. Let me put my name in the hat. So those are the things that we're reflecting, the power of yet, all to support you on your journey. And that last one kind of feeds into those, shifting your thoughts. Take on a challenge, make a mistake and try not to let that imposter syndrome, letting that thought that tells you you're not good enough, let that win. Think about it. That imposter, thought and experience is all just that hidden fixed mindset creeping in. Making a mistake is the best way to learn. How else will you know the gaps and the things you need to do? So instead of shying away from challenge, just embrace it. And I really do think that if you can reflect on you, reflect a little bit on what your feelings are on success, what your feelings are on failure, where you feel fixed, maybe where you feel like you might have this idea of feeling like there's growth there. I do think that you can just be a little bit more self-aware with the theory and maybe see, can I flip that mindset? can I bring myself into that place where I believe a little bit more in myself? And just to kind of tie all of this together, one of the reasons why I brought this to your attention is because I do think that there's a lot in it in terms of like us talking about that inner child, talking about, where our, do we celebrate process or do we just celebrate the end result? What is it for you? Can you flip it to a bit more process? And in order to do that, what you're creating essentially is a space where you are genuinely, wholeheartedly a little more resilient. And resilience is what we want. We have the ability to persevere through challenge, and it also generates confidence. I think confidence is such a funny word. We could do a whole session on confidence. Maybe next month, let's look at what is confidence if you wanted, and what does that look like? Because I think confidence feels I feel very uncomfortable with the word. I think it comes with a sense of feeling better than someone else. But confidence is just being able to be in your shoes, go after the goals, go after, through challenge and, feel fulfilled. And that's what we all kind of want, right? As human beings, we just want this sense of feeling peace, feeling happiness, feeling like we can move through the tough things. And maybe this is the perfect time to just kind of move into a little bit more fixed space. With that said, remember, you might not be there right now, but you will get there. You're just not there yet. Remember the power of yet. You can do this. You just aren't there yet. You will get there. Let's keep working on this process. And well done, deeply, sincerely from myself. I know Bon would be saying the exact same thing to you, giving you a big pat on the back, a big clap, saying you are awesome. You're awesome for being here. It's amazing that you are, putting in the work. And I think that this will only take you from strength to strength. Keep learning, keep reading, keep reflecting, and every little piece of it in this process is a win. Every piece of this process is success, and it's just a step to you continuing to grow and learn, and just continue to develop into that amazing human being that you are. And I really mean that, you're all just the most wonderful people, whether I've met you or not. You're here because you care. You're here because you want to feel, like the best version of you as we move through this world. And, please start believing that you are that person now, and that the work is just going to continue to help you feel and see that. But you are already where you want to be. You are already in the core of you, that amazing, extravagant life. You can change the world, people, but we just need to, just take some time to see it, to reflect, to let go of any of the hurt, and just be in the now. So I'm going to wish you peace and love. I'm going to wish you growth mindset as you move forward. And if you are fixed, please don't be hard on yourself. Just say, actually, can I flip this? Am I being a little bit harsh? Am I being a little bit, for lack of better words, I use stubborn sometimes, but is there anything you can do here just to push through? Is it just your mindset that is holding you back? And if it is, and it's going to be a really good result at the end, maybe push through that. All right. Peace and love, guys. Take care. Hopefully, this recording just made you reflect and take you to that next layer of your process. Cheers.